This is deep dish, right?
Yeah, but let's get deep.
So I'm going deep on both sides.
Robert, man, welcome back to the platform. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. About yourself?
I'm doing good, man. What's been going on since the last time we spoke, man?
Man, everything. Getting more and more involved in these nonprofits, just being a helpful figure with it. My boy Otis Carter and Hambino got the 200-man standing going strong, and I've been blessed to be able to help them out in any way that I can to give back. And of course, my affiliation with the mayor's office through Ron Johnson has been really lucrative for me too, just being able to give back to the city the best way I can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, I've been seeing you build out here, man. We ain't seen each other at some of these events.
Oh yeah.
Or whatnot, man.
The last time I seen was at the Jeezy thing.
Nah, I seen you there too.
That's true.
But, nah, I seen you. We did at the 200-man stand with the giveaway Christmas, the bicycles and stuff.
I'm tripping.
Yeah, man, your mind is on the concerts and stuff.
All the time, yeah. I'm tripping.
But man, let's get straight into it, man. The last time you was on here was some controversial things that you brought up.
Yeah.
But also it was some things that I think that people, were surprised that you experienced, like the colorism, you just being light skinned, but also like the interracial dating, those things. Has anything changed? What was some of that feedback you got?
Well, to answer your question, ain't nothing really changed. I'm still standing on what I said on that. But the feedback I was getting back was on the interracial dating tip, what was my issue for the most part, and I was basically just telling them it's not really just an issue, but it is. It's really like I look at it. We got a lot of black men who are the power structure in the black community, and you going out here and you making money for yourself. If you're married outside your race, that money's going back. Still staying in your home, but the generational wealth that come from that when you pass, who's it going back to?
Right.
And a lot of people getting stumbled on that. But I don't hate anybody who date outside of race. It is what it is. You're gonna live your own life. But I do feel like some of our own youth and people even close to my age don't know the history and background of what kind of resolved from having a black man and a black woman being together.
Right.
And I grew up there my whole life. My dad and my mom, my grandparents on both sides, always long-lived marriages. My sister and her husband right now, and my brother and his wife. Like, I come from that background, and I see how it can elevate a young black boy and a young black woman seeing these two people that look like each other, loving each other. It's amazing.
I think too is also to point out, like I don't know if your mama or grandma or aunties ever told you this, but I know I had the women in my family tell me that, hey, don't bring no white woman home, right?
Right. Yeah.
Right. And probably, especially in the South, probably most men, black men, probably was told that when they was boys, like, hey, don't bring no white girl in this house, right?
Yeah. My mom used to say something like that. You know what I'm saying? Don't bring no snow home and all that stuff. Yeah.
But like, as kids, we probably didn't really understand where it was coming from. But as we get older, and this is especially for who listeners are not black, right? Is that it was a lot of harm done.
Okay.
Even still now, right? It's been a lot of harm done by just not the white culture in itself, but specifically white women on black men. So therefore, to protect us, it's like, hey, you probably shouldn't, deal with them on that type of romantic relationship because, they've gotten us killed, hung. I just seen a story not too long ago. It might have been a couple of days ago, but it was an older story how a white woman got a man put in prison for damn near life because she had a dream that he had raped her.
Okay.
And they ran off with that. Like, that's a real, y'all, like, go look that up. It's a real thing. He had nothing to do with it, but she just had a dream that it was him, and they convicted him.
Something like some immaterial stuff outside of the dream. Yeah.
But like that harm that has really been done by white women to black men, I think is where a lot of that comes from our parents and their parents saying, hey, be skeptical, be cautious. I don't know, but it's rightfully so on why that message was carried. Is like the point. Like, it makes sense.
It makes sense. I will say to add on to that point, because there's a factor. It also going to start with there's a silent war, and it's been going for years between black women and white women. That war has been kind of even more silenced now with the growth of like Kim K, and she kind of, a lot of black women love Kim K, not knowing that, well, they do know it, but a lot of times she stole a lot of their looks to make herself even more rich. But that war has been dimmed a little bit. But I know my mom's childhood growing up, she's from Memphis, and they just have a staunch feeling towards white women. Even though they're cool with them now, they can socialize with them. Even some of them associates. But when it comes to their sons dating them, that's not really what they want, because they want to still keep things pure in a sense. But what you bringing up earlier, yeah, it's a infighting between the two women species on that.
Yeah.
White women might feel like, they look better because their hair, and in the way society got things looking, make you think that having long hair is supposed to be the best look.
Right.
And you kind of see some of our sisters falling into that groove with the weave and this and that.
Right.
Sometimes they don't even want to hear us when we tell them we like you natural,
Yeah.
but they think we're just talking. But
Yeah, but a lot of it too is not. It's the corporate world, jobs, things like that. Don't want them to. You got those microaggressions, those conforming. You know what I'm saying? It happened to black men and black women. As far as how you wear your hair, your beard, how you dress, all of those things. We the only people that got to go through that type of barrier, or even think about those things when we talk about jobs or going into a place or any type of environment. Like, damn, like is me having dreads gonna hurt my chance of getting this job, or if me dressing a particular way gonna make people think of me where I won't get this opportunity. And it's unfortunate. But like that's the barrier, that as black people we gotta hurt over.
Right.
And from your head to your toes, man. And you just never know. You don't know the barrier unless you a person of color, but more specifically black.
Right.
We gotta think about that.
That's true.
Yeah, man. But I'm even more curious on what people gonna say about that silent war.
Right.
Women how they gonna speak on that, man.
Yeah, I mean it's there. We see it. I bring up a situation when that happened. When Beyonce said, Baker with a good hair, that was subliminal right there.
Yeah.
She was mad that Jay-Z messed off on her.
Right.
But that took us back to how they really feel about the situation. And then you see how women get uptight when our professional athletes, or not necessarily even our congressmen, when they're dating white women. They feel like, see, look, they always taking what we got. They might not say it out loud, but we see it.
You're right. Man, I know you real big, in the housing, real estate.
Yes, sir.
Man, Nashville is booming.
Yeah.
People are moving here.
It is.
Gentrification is happening.
Correct.
Rapidly. Man, we getting a new stadium.
We are.
All of that, man. Let's talk about that, man, especially you being a football guy. We're going to talk about a lot of football, too, since you're here.
No, man.
But being a football guy, man, what's your thoughts on the stadium, the East Bank, Titans? And for people who don't know, we getting a new stadium. This is happening. It's passed. They just working out.
2.5 billion, 2.4, something like that.
That might be the floor. That ain't. That
right.
Might, that's
right.
that's
right.
what it's starting at.
We have to do that.
Yeah, exactly. So, man, what's your thoughts on that, man?
Well, to be honest with you, I'm excited about it.
Okay.
Because I know that if we get the stadium, it's going to bring a Super Bowl. It's going to bring WrestleMania, if you get to that. NCAA playoff situation. Right now we got the New City Bowl, but we might can reach out for another bowl that can be even bigger now, because now we can really compete with Atlanta and New Orleans. Because that's really what's been hurting us, especially on the Super Bowl side.
Right.
Nashville is the city. It's booming. We showed that when we had the draft here, and we had what 700,000 people on Broadway.
I think we had like the biggest draft
ever. Still, you know what I mean? So they want to come here, but I think the main thing is they don't want the weather to be a factor.
Right.
Especially on ticket sales. It don't look right. You paying $4,000 for a ticket and it's raining on you, or it's snowing on you.
Right.
So that's kind of hurt us with the whole competing with Atlanta and New Orleans, because they have a dome.
Right.
But overall, I think that we need it. I think that our riverbank should have been utilized, because compared to other cities, even Knoxville rivers look better than ours. Like they riverbanks. It's crazy. We're a major city. I don't know why we kind of left it the way it was for so long, but I think that that's a good look. And I know we have some locals here who might not fully agree with that. I think that money should go some other places, which I understand that. But they got to understand also, once you get this big revenue situation coming in, you can start funneling that money towards the roads, the schools. I hope we do talk about that on the schools, because that's a big thing. Because our metro schools need some help.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing, right? We see the kind of the holes that need to be filled, whether it's affordable housing, whether it's education, whether it's figuring out to do with our unhoused community in general.
Correct.
And we see our city making an investment in the stadium. It's like, hold on, wait a minute. We got like other real crises that need to be like taken care of today. But instead we putting this money into the city. To the stadium. The city's putting this money into the stadium. And after I looked at it, and even was a part of some stakeholder meetings at the Titans facility and things like that, it's complex. It's complex, and it's really more of a win-win for the city than a win-loss.
Right.
And I say win-win because we would have had to pay for the repairs, right?
Right. That was 1.9 by itself.
It's just we had to pay for the repairs in general, and then the taxes on it. It was a bad lease.
Correct.
It was a bad lease that we signed in the 90s. That a lot of cities that was growing and trying to get a football team signed.
Right.
And now I looked at it like, okay, now it frees up some money, that we don't have to pay. And then it's actually, hopefully, like you said, bring in some revenue that we can put those other things. But I don't think, from what I've seen and understood, it's not taking away money from anything.
Nah, it's going to take a little bit that we might not see up front, but the long haul, we need this. And be honest with you, I'd rather be inside an enclosed place anyway. Like, I just don't deal with the cold weather, especially when I'm trying to watch something.
Yeah.
I don't want the elements to be a factor. So
it's gonna be interesting how they develop the East Bank, that area in general, because what the stadium is now, it'll be moved to like one of the parking lots. It'll be just not too far away.
Right.
And then where the stadium is now, that would be developed. And
Correct.
so my whole thing is hopefully that development is opened up to like small businesses that's affordable. Hopefully it's something hopefully the city works something into that packages with developers to make things affordable for everybody.
Correct.
And it doesn't become just for people, the ultra uber wealthy who can afford to put their businesses in there. And hopefully these black owned businesses will be able to, small business that we don't have millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, but we got a good product, and hopefully being close to the stadium when people come in, we can grow our brands and stuff.
Correct.
Hopefully that's a part of it.
I for sure hope it does, but we have to get out and voice that.
Yeah.
For everything that we want to get out of this deal. I do want to see the high school football championships to come back to Nashville, like it was back. Now I know Mercury had it for a long time too, but now it's in Cookville.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like it's it's a Cookville or Chattanooga. It's one of the two.
Cookville, because that's what I think Tennessee Tech. Oh, hold on. I think they made it play in Chattanooga this year.
So there's no reason why I shouldn't be here. In my eyes.
We the capital.
We the capital.
We the biggest
it's
city.
It's a big attraction.
Yeah.
But that's another. I think that's another thing where they trying to. The powers that be want to get away from TSU. I think that's something else we can talk about that. But yeah.
So sticking to football, Deion Sanders, HBCUs. Talk to us. How you feeling? His departure to Colorado. Do you feel any type of way? Were you let down, disappointed, hurt? What was your emotions when you realized that Deion wasn't staying with Jackson State his last year on the contract, or definitely wasn't going to stay longer?
Right.
Since he took the job with Colorado.
I'm gonna be always transparent about the whole situation. First off, my two favorite players my whole life in football is Randy Moss and Deion Sanders. Okay. You put A1, A2, it don't matter. Those are my favorite players ever. So hearing him going to Jackson State hurt me because that's how playing at TSU. Right. I hate Jackson State, but I'm glad for the HBCU world that was big. Right. But my issue that I had with the departure was I'm not mad at him about taking more money to help you out with your family, especially knowing the condition that he went through, because TSU kind of got them same conditions a little bit, but not as worse as them. Him taking a pay cut, him trying to pay his players, his coaches, I'm sorry. But my issue was you came in preaching like, we need to do this. You was talking a lot of we. And that's the only thing that kind of got a lot of people still with a bad taste in their mouth is the we talk. Because we all know that he was not going to stay the whole time. Right. Let's just be real. But when you came in preaching with the we, it kind of caught people up and they're like, well, he going to be here for a minute, or at least until his son graduate. But and then he left for Colorado, and then I remember that first statement here, even Colorado said they didn't have the money yet. Yeah. So that was kind of weird. Like, you go leave, but overall though, I'm on the fence. So I don't want to sound like I'm tiptoeing with it. after this whole process has happened, I noticed that all the blame can't go on Dion. Where's the black corporations that can donate that could have helped him while he was there? He shouldn't have to go to Walmart and all these other places to get money. When you got billionaires or millionaires that went to Jackson State or whatever, and I know Mississippi is one of the poorest states in the country, but it's some blacks out there who've made it out. And then you got to be from Jackson. You can be anybody, even Oprah or whoever. If you want to donate to this cause, they should have did that.
Right.
We get up in arms about things, but we don't ever have no solution. So that's kind of why I'm at with that. And then lately, Ed Reed was supposed to go to Bethune-Cookman, and then how that happened. I have a deep love for HBCUs, especially TSU being where I went. But we gotta do better as a whole, man. Like we can't keep on. And it's crazy coming from I'm a very pro-black man, but we can't keep on blaming white men or white institutions sometimes for things that we could help out our own self a little bit. Yeah, we do know we systematically boil down, but some things we can do.
Yeah, I think too we gotta realize that as black folks, because of everything we've had to overcome in the barriers, that we're not gonna have the same starting ground as white institutions. So we have to sacrifice.
Right.
Right. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like most of us, I ain't gonna say most, many of us don't want to sacrifice money and comfortability and all of these things to build something, and be along with that process instead of we want instant gratification. Which, hey, if that's what you want, that's what you want. But I think we gotta set into reality. Like this is how things gonna end up getting started to happen if we want it to happen, if we wanted everything to be black owned, black controlled. But until we, I guess, set that in our mind as a group, it'll always be, okay, cool, I use this kind of black institution or environment or space as a stepping stone, and then I go get the money here. I go get all, they gonna have more. Yeah, they should,
Yeah.
And then even from a player thing, like what accountability or social accountability do parents have or should have when all of our kids are the best top athletes, right? But we continue to send them to schools that 100 years ago we couldn't go to. You know what I'm saying? But as a parent, do you say, okay, now we're gonna just start sending our kids to TSUs, to Jackson States, the Gremlins and all that, or now do we?
Well, the issue I've noticed with the whole black parents not telling their kids to go, to be honest with you, it starts with the parents of these kids are getting younger and younger, and they don't even know the history.
Right.
You got a 22-year-old son out here, or a young lady, and their mom is 40. She might not know. She's an 80s baby.
Right.
She might not know the history about, or the dad might not know the history about HBCUs when they was great.
Right.
So they're not knowing what to tell the kids that. That's why we have to use this social media platform to kind of still show history of what things used to be and what was ours.
Right.
Again, I'm very proud about TSU just because I know the history. I'm a big history buff. And I tell people all the time, I say, to be honest with you, TSU is the Alabama of black sports, not just football.
Yeah.
There's no other school that got more, on the athletic side, got more top tier players. Not Grambling, not Jackson State, not FAMU. Yeah, we was their killers.
Right.
Even though Eddie Robinson and Grambling got the most wins, that's because John Mayer died early. You know what I mean? Even the scheduling when they used to play each other, TSU still had the one up on him. So there's a lot of history behind HBCUs, but we have gotten away from it, and that just have to change if we want to make a change.
But yeah, man. Since you bringing up TSU, we got to talk about TSU football.
Okay.
Man, what we got going on at TSU, man, with Eddie George, man. And so of course Eddie George is not Deion Sanders, right? He's not the personality. He wasn't the top tier type of player Deion was. Even though Eddie George was a great player, Deion's just one of a kind, right? I don't think there's a lot of people in general that could do what Deion did, going to HBCU.
Right.
Because of who he is, his marketing, his selling. A lot of people will say, hey, when the whole Deion thing was happening, like, well, you got Eddie George at TSU, How do you compare the two in the sense of like Eddie George's impact at TSU, or I would say maybe not as impactful as far as recruiting, transfer portals, winning, and all of those things?
Well, on the transfer portal, I'm going to speak on that one first. Eddie, yeah, he's not Dion. Dion was an icon. But Eddie was was great in his own right.
Yeah, for sure.
And playing for the Titans, we can utilize him being for the Titans into recruiting, as in when it comes to some of I give you an example, for majority of offensive linemen, most of the time are white guys, white kids. You got some black kids too that are phenomenal too. I think that Eddie could use the Nashville piece. Even though it's an HBCU, you can still sell Nashville to some of those great big players to come in and play for us. That's just on the offensive line side. There's no way that he shouldn't be able to get the top running back. Use a top running back we use in the league. Right. So these guys should already know, okay, if I go there, he's going to get the right tutelage, especially if he has size frame.
Right.
I think the breaking point that we need to have is selling Nashville to the recruits, white or black. That's one thing that even though Dion is Dion, but Jackson is not Nashville.
It ain't.
You know what I'm saying? So you find out real quick when you go down there.
Right.
Eddie, he's a good guy. I've met him several times. Coaching wise, he's doing a decent job. He was thrown into this in a sense. He accepted it. I think you just had to give him time.
Okay.
Give him time to have his own players in, and also utilize that transfer portal. That's one thing that's very, very appealing, because you have Nashville on that. Like, people forget, like, yes, TSU is TSU, but you'd be surprised if people don't know that TSU is in Nashville, especially on the blacks. When I go to Texas, they be like, huh? They have their own TSU,
right.
Texas Southern, but
we got the real TSU.
We got the real TSU, right.
Right.
But they don't know anything, and they're like, oh, okay. And then they come out here, it's like a new world for them. I hear it all the time from my Memphis friends. Like, they had never been to Nashville their whole life. They were 200 miles away. But once they come here, they said they were going back to Memphis.
Right.
He got to utilize that piece. He has a lot of NFL coaches on his staff, like former players, former coaches. He just needs the right players. They're heading in the right direction. It's just that, alumni, we used to TSU winning.
Right.
And winning has been kind of escaped us from the last couple of years. And, people just getting a little antsy.
Well, because Eddie is not a vocal person. He's
right.
not, it seems like, as far as like Dion is like talking about HBCUs, do you think he can do more of that, or is it things happening that he is doing, but because he's not vocal, we just don't know about?
He can still be a little bit more vocal, but one thing about Eddie, not to be so racial all the time, but our white counterparts, they love Eddie. So I think that having him there will help us out when it comes to donations and funding. Okay. Because they still looking at Eddie as the Titans player.
Right.
So we can utilize that and then want to donate to this little HBCU,
right,
knowing that he's under the helm.
Right.
If it's done right. But yeah, he's loved. Now, granted, yes, Dion is Dion, but a lot of people who love the Titans, they still love Eddie like Steve McNair.
Right.
So he can make it work.
Yeah.
Just using his what they call NIL, his name, image, and likeness, will really get it in.
Yeah. Man, I want to kind of switch back over to more on the community side of things, right? You brought up education. We talked a little bit about this when we on our first interview about public schools here, what they need help on. Would you send your child to a public school here in Nashville? And what's going on, man? Has anything changed? Would you still send your son? Would you send your son today to a public school here in Nashville? Even if you had the money to send him to like a USN, University School of Nashville, would you send him? Would you send him there, or would you send him to a public school here?
Currently, my son, he's in a private school in Rutherford County.
That answers the question, folks.
At the moment. But this is a great topic that's been brought up that, times are different. Let's explain this. I got my boy, Marcellus Banks here, man, grew up with me, went to high school with me, Little League sports with me. And our time is different. Like, I think that going to metro schools when we did gave us a little edge.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Now, granted, when I the metro schools has to do better education-wise, because I can, like, when I went to my first 2 years in college in Arizona, it was a culture shock and a smack in the face when it comes to schooling.
Right.
But the edge-wise, being able to communicate and handle things under pressure, culture-wise,
Yeah.
you're around your people, that you can't really get too much all the time in private school. I've noticed that even with my son now, the school he's in, he's the only black boy in his class. You know,
How does that
he's
make you feel?
It's all right, you know what I mean? But it's all right. But he has a good balance of, even though his school is a great school, great teachers, they love him, he still has his cousins.
Right.
I had my son in youth football this year for the first time, and I deliberately made sure he was playing for a team I knew was going to be in East Nashville, because he's going to get a little bit more rougher. You rough him up a little bit, and he had the balance of, okay, getting a good education, and he's still not going to be no pushover.
Right.
And luckily his first cousin was on that team too, so they both got that same experience at the same time.
Okay.
They also learned to have each other back, so that was perfect. Going back to the Metro Schooler piece, Metro School would have to get better on their curriculum before I decide to put them in that realm, if I would decide to do that.
As a parent, and as parents are watching and listening and probably thinking about, man, should I send my kids to public schools or not? I talked to Christian Buggs about this too, who's on the school board and who's a former school board chair. She was like, she was on the white. We both was on the white school.
I know.
Yeah, we both on her. She ended up still
going
going to ML. She ended up going to MLK, and I went to Pearl. But
sorry to hear that.
But we were both. But she was just talking to me about like the part that the parent can play,
Correct.
and that investment in helping raising the bar for public schools in Nashville, especially like you said, it's a new generation.
Correct.
If me and you know what needs to be done as parents, because we went through the public school system here in Nashville, by us and our kids there, we can be a part of that change.
Right.
And, invest some of our fruits of our labor into that. And so it can raise curriculum or at least have more funds to do more things and, expand their curriculum some, because that's what it takes. Because unlike private schools, it's not money just coming in and be able to have a different, more expensive type of experience. And they have more range when you're independent school, where public school you got more restricted on what you can and can't do because you under the whole system.
Correct.
And that made me think about my own personal social accountability. If I care about public schools, that I could play a part in or I could do in general. So that made me look at it differently. Even knowing that as we both got black kids, black sons, public schools ain't really too too fond of black boys. Suspensions are higher.
Correct.
Literacy rates are lower. Just for black boys, and it's hard. It's a lot of barriers. It's a direct school to prison pipeline.
Correct.
So I even had that in my mind too. Like, dang, like, do I want to even? I don't think my son would have that issue, but why even put him in an environment where that's perpetuated?
Right.
But she made me really think about what I could do to help and combat that as a parent that has a kid in public schools in the future, possibly. And so, man, I wanted to see what you thought about that, man.
I agree with that. I mean, even when me and Banks played at White Creek, one thing that hurted us was, man, we
y'all played at White. Unfortunately, I'm sorry.
Oh man, he got to get his word back. But we had a problem with getting funding, bro. Like, we used to go against schools out of county. They got the sponsorship from a local restaurant, all that, and we got nothing because Metro School at the time wouldn't allow sponsorships for Metro schools. So we had to go out there, hope that somebody donated some stuff to us.
Yeah.
And luckily, we was actually, way better than Pearl at the time, that the Titans gave us their old field. And it did help that we had Stephen there as best friend on our coaching staff at the time too.
Right. But that goes back to that community investment, right?
Correct.
If y'all went to White Creek, unfortunately, what responsibility did y'all have to make sure that White Creek, the investment, just like HBCUs, right? You mentioned, right? If you went to a HBCU, yeah, you might not have Oprah money, but what can you do to invest and get back if funding is an issue? Can you donate $10 a month, or $100 a year, or whatever it may be? But again, it takes sacrifice.
It come back to alumni. I speak on White Creek because I don't know about any other schools like that. Our alumni base is heavy, and to be honest with you,
I heard y'all got a good alumni base.
Big time.
Yeah.
I've actually got more doors open for me through my White Creek Association than my TSU Association. Just on the politics side. Senator Harold Love, he went to White Creek. I literally was just watching Married to Medicine the other day, and one of the main women on the show, she's a White Creek grad. That's based in Atlanta. I said, oh, okay.
Wow.
So it's like, and that's just that small spectrum of it. Gary Jenkins, the R&B singer for Silk, went to White Creek. Like all these different avenues that we have, we just got to tap into those resources and get money back to White Creek in some way. But the metro school is going to have to allow that to happen.
Right.
And I don't know if they want too many people stepping on toes in that situation.
Right.
But I haven't addressed it. I haven't talked to anybody directly about it. But I think that's one big factor that might scare some people about getting involved. Are they going to be, if I get this money, are they going to try to, not mishandle, but are they going to try to direct it where they want to direct it? And if I give them for football, I want to go to football.
Yeah, but I think, you know what I'm saying, I think in certain situations you can, like, you can, like, even with, like, nonprofits and stuff, right, I can say, well, I want this $5,000 I'm donating to be dedicated to a specific initiative, right? And I'm pretty sure, like, you know, especially our public schools won't, you know, turn down that type of money, especially if it's in an area where, like, they need the money anyway. Like, yeah, we'd love it for it to go to the STEM, but like if you want to donate to the $5,000 to the football team, like, hey, our football team could use it. Correct. You know, because that football team, their success can bring in more donors and things like that.
And that's what the white counterparts get. They understand. Even you can step it on up to even to the college level. It's the mismanagement of money in certain situations. I heard a story about Fist years ago. You know, I ain't trying to talk ill on Fist.
They gonna come out your neck.
They gonna come out my neck. But it was a story I heard about with Bill Cosby. Wanted to donate some money to Fist back in the day. And at the time, he was going like a college tour, HBCU. He was just giving them money. He wear their paraphernalia on the Cosby Show. But they turned him down because he was going to build a building. I'm sorry, he's going to redo the basketball gym. He going to give Fist the money for that. But they turned it down because the only demand he had was name that building after his son that passed. But Fist was like, well, he ain't go there, so we ain't going to do that. So it's a missed opportunity.
Wow.
Now I understand you know, Fist has a regimen where they want you to be the Fist, to donate and all that, but why would you turn down that type of money? And this before Bill got into his, you know, legal issue.
Right.
So we shoot ourselves in the foot sometimes, even with the Ed Reed thing. Even though Ed Reed could have did it a little differently the way he approached when he got the job.
Right.
But Bethune, you're not in no situation to turn down anybody right now, especially with that caliber.
Right.
Trying to be your coach, but he could have did things a little different because you can't just walk into any job cussing and, you know.
But I think again too is just that sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? Like even like he definitely could have had a better delivery.
Correct.
But also too is like we got to understand the stick on code sometimes. Like as black folks, like Shannon Sharp. For example, Shannon Sharp is gonna say on National, one of the biggest sports shows ever, he didn't want to go to Savannah State.
Why he do that?
But you know,
even if you felt that way.
Yeah. Like even if you felt that way, right? Even and they clearly felt that way, right? Because he said it. That wasn't his first choice. But I feel like, all right, cool. Like keep that inside. Say that, you know what I'm saying, off air. You don't do that on national television. Right. And so I say that to say like Ed Reed and even, you know what I'm saying, to Deion to a certain degree, I think he was a little more respectable about how he went about it. But like we gotta understand one again, like we're gonna have issues that other institutions don't have because of resources and funding, and just because of systemic racism, right? The state owed, you know, what, TSU $250 million, something like that.
Half a billion.
Yeah, just something. Yeah. And so when you have those type of things, right, like that's going against you, like you're gonna have some issues. You're gonna have some infrastructure problems, right? But we still keep on keeping on. And so I just think we gotta just stay on code. And just regardless how you feeling, you just gotta just say, hey, you know, everything gonna work itself out. Right. And then we gotta just understand that we're gonna have to just be real uncomfortable and sacrifice if we want to see things grow and if we want really full control of it. Because once you go ask, you know what I'm saying, that white establishment for it, then it's different. Then they can, you know, they can direct them to like, hey, I kind of want y'all to do this or that, or it might come back and bite you in the butt a lot of times. Right. Well, you know how black people do. Oh well, you know, that white establishment funded this anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, so we just gotta be willing to sacrifice, I think. That's true. And understand that we're gonna just be in some uncomfortable situations that we gotta know going in. Either we're gonna accept it and don't complain about it, keep it moving, or we gonna say this gonna be an issue and just don't take the position, don't take the job, or just don't be in that space.
Correct.
Especially if you know you're gonna complain about it or try to use it as a point to where to the reason of why you're not at a certain level and not knowing like, hey, this is what come with it. So that'd be my thing sometimes.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Another topic, man, we gotta hit on. We gotta, man, like. We got hit on. We kind of talked about this a little bit. I kind of around like just social welfare and things like that. You being a person that deals in real estate, dealing with funds and things like that in the city, understanding money management, financial literacy, and those things. What can we do as as a group? Of human beings but also just black people. What can we do, man, to be better on how we invest our money? You know, being a person that invests in things like that. How can we be better at that? What are some tips? What are some gems? Even to start slow with. If I only got, if I'm only making $60,000 a year, how can I take that and be a homeowner and invest?
It's the imagery, bro.
Okay.
One thing that's hurting us as a whole, us black folks, us black men, let's put that in there. Our imagery got to be cleaned up. Everybody want to look like a rapper, even they making $40,000. We're living beyond our means. We are too connected to social media in the mindset as in, okay, if we think we not got it all, if we don't have this, we competing too much with each other. So the first thing is going to be with that is just changing our whole mindset of what we think is cool.
Right.
I know people that will go broke, man, just because they want to wear a certain fit. They'll look like they got it. What's the point? That starts with black men. Now, granted, the only issue I would say that with our black women is the guys trying to impress. I think that even on our women's side, if they wasn't so superficial impressed by some of the things, some of the men wouldn't do it. But as a man, you leader, you need to start it off first. Like, walk out here with confidence. Even in my own life, like, I usually like to have my casual wear, but I notice I even feel different when I put on a suit. But you don't know that growing up. We associate suits with church.
Yeah.
Until you get grown and start wearing it fit tight. I know Steve Harvey all stuff, but if you wear something that's fit and looking good, it changes your whole mindset of things. You step into a room with confidence. And then also, us black men need to come together and get part of these nonprofits or these organizations that's really about change. For example, I'm part of a black man run organization spearheaded by my boy Demetrius Short. We literally just had a meeting this past Saturday. It was a powerful meeting, bro. We sit down with other black men in the city who's doing their thing, and we just try to we brainstorm, put our heads together, like, how can we change the youth, especially young black boys? And imagery came up. To be honest with you, the way we eat came up.
Right.
Fast food is just getting ridiculous with us, and we're seeing it kind of matriculate in our bodies, obesity, and then also our young youth seeing black men being men.
Right. What does it mean to you to be a man? What does that mean?
Stand on your principles, walking tall, do what you say you're gonna do, and then also on the outside element of it, on a physical trait, just how you interact with people, man. I don't want to say this because I'm pushing buttons. You know me.
Go ahead and say it then.
But it's even when it comes down to sexuality. I think some things need to stay in house other than being broadcast. You know what I'm saying? If you like certain things, okay, that's cool. But when you step out that door, know there's other people could be watching. People be like, well, you can live your own life. That's cool.
Right.
But we ain't gonna be able to change this stuff unless we are acting and walking like men.
Yeah, you're gonna get some pushback on that.
I'm sure.
And the only reason I say that because that's why I asked you, like, what does it mean to be a man? Because that is now a broad kind of term of what it means to be a man. Because you can be biologically a woman and be a man today, right? Or identify as a man, I should say.
Okay.
You can be a man and have a purse, wear eyelashes, put a wig on, be drag, right? All those things now are also within, like, I'm a man category, right? Just the whole LGBTQ community now has put a lot of things out to the forefront that it's like, what is a woman? What is a man? What does it mean to be gay? What does it mean to be homosexual, heterosexual, right? And then, as we know, there's a lot of people on different spectrums with that. But I always stand on this personally as a black man. We gotta have those conversations differently.
Yeah.
Because I personally do feel like it's always been an attack, a threat on black
Male image.
and just like straight black men.
Yes.
That's me personally. I feel like we've always been the biggest threat to society, to the United States, and that's why me having a black son, I take that seriously, and how that is like kind of addressed, and how I deal with my son with that, and how I raise him to be a strong black man, and how to carry yourself every day, and instill that, because I understand the attack that is waiting to come on him from this country that we live in. And so I'm interested in what people thoughts gonna be around that, just in general. And that's what I think that's the dialogue we gotta have, right? Exploring that perspective of like what social change is and what that means for like cultures. Because I think this conversation is different for white groups, Latinx groups, Asian groups. I think there's the general idea of like, oh, okay, cool, but then I think it's like, okay, what does this mean for our culture? And for example, we all have the right to carry a gun, right?
Correct.
But we know me and you carrying a gun is different from a white man carrying a gun.
Correct.
We're gonna be treated differently as Second Amendment, rights, holders, right? So I think that's the larger conversation I think people also have to think about when we talk about these kind of just real sensitive, but also like very important topics around gender, sexuality, just terms being used, like the word. I'm pretty sure you can speak to this. Any black boy that plays sports can speak to this. I'm pretty sure. Growing up, when we would call something gay, like, hey man, that's gay. We wouldn't. I know. I remember growing up, like I didn't think I was offending like a whole group of people, or a whole group. You know what I'm saying? And it was more culture than anything. Not saying all culture is, intelligent, but when I would talk to some of my gay friends about that, like, hey, like this is what was happening, and then that's that cross culture exchange. Like, oh, okay, I get it. Not to say that it was still, not to say it was right, but you got to understand of like what is culture. Another example of that is, you might have seen this on the news. A guy told a girl, some lady at a grocery store or some type of business, say, hey, I'm finna go blow up the bathroom. And we all know what that means in a black household, right? You finna go take a dump. You finna, you finna go blow it, all right? She thought it meant like he's finna literally go blow up the bathroom. It's like a whole story about this.
Right.
And so those type of things, like that cross-culture, like competency and stuff, like I think we gotta look at that stuff too sometimes and realize like, okay, these are the things that how we talk, how we speak, and what they mean with different cultures.
It's all about adapting. Even in the Bible, it talks about in the end days, right will be wrong and wrong will be right. So it's like we're adapting. We're not losing our principles though, but we're adapting to what's going on. And again, you don't want to offend anybody. Myself, I got homosexuals in my family. Love them to death. You know what I'm saying? Die for them.
Right.
But I don't see eye to eye with certain things that they do.
Right.
That doesn't mean I need to disown them.
Right. Yeah.
Point blank.
And I think that's a good distinguishing thing. Like, hey, I don't have to agree with you of your lifestyle.
Right.
That don't mean, as long as I'm not being bigoted or hatred,
correct,
or discriminatory towards you because your lifestyle is cool. I don't smoke cigarettes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't think people should smoke cigarettes. But if you smoke cigarettes and that's your lifestyle choice, I'm not gonna penalize you for that on how I treat you or
correct,
what I think about you. It's just that one thing we just don't agree with in life.
Correct.
But it's a whole different thing. Don't try to push that on me though.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying?
It needs to be a balance. I think that's one thing with a straight man, heterosexual man, we're not seeing the even playing field. As in, just don't push it or don't try to. Well, I always say this. I haven't experienced this, but I've heard this from my friends that sometimes they call them, they can be habitual line steppers.
Okay.
So basically, like, I'm not that way, so why are you trying me?
Right.
So you got, so that'll be cognitive of that in this world we in.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Habitual line steppers.
Yeah,
There's some habitual line steppers out there, for
Right.
sure. For sure. Man, as we wrapping it up, man, what's your thoughts, just man, on life right now, man, on just where we are as a culture. Oh, this is what I wanted to ask you now. Think about it, because you thought you was talking about everybody want to look like a rapper and stuff. Before we get up out of here, I gotta hit you with this one, man. Is rap music today the most popular rap music today that we hear in our clubs and we playing? Would it be considered anti-black music?
Yes. All our rappers, male or female, are talking about the destruction of us. Yes, I don't want to be I'm gonna be a hypocrite right now. I listen to rap every now and then. I'm mainly an R&B guy, but I grew up in high school. Boots and Webb was my favorite rappers.
They my favorite rappers.
Right. I listen to old stuff all the time,
Right.
every now and then when I'm cruising. But when you sit back and really listen to what's going on, it's all about destruction, especially with this new drill music out of Chicago that's kind of leaping out into Atlanta, and that style of rapping. It's all about death. And it kind of always been that way. We were just more about the song being catchy. But if you really listen to these lyrics, man, it's about, I hate a black man. And then when it comes down to women, they get overly sexualized from themselves and us men exporting them on our rap videos.
Right.
It's not a good look. I think that we're gonna have to change it up at some point. But I don't know when that'll be. I think that we're too indoctrinated with it right now. But we got to get this under control, because I think that it's really affecting our youth. I'm gonna be honest, personally, I don't think rap music affected our generation like it's doing now. Like we'll hear Boots and Webby and get hyped for the football game.
Right.
Ain't finna make me go shoot somebody.
Right.
I feel like the music now, it's got these kids, they already on different drugs as it is. And then these songs are like chanting. And if you're real spiritual, you understand that's a real correlation with that.
Yeah.
We gotta clean that up. And that's going back to what we said earlier about us black men being black men.
Right.
And walking tall and showing other avenues. To piggyback off of that, we have to also show these young black men, come on, focus on that more than the young girls, that it's more to out here than just being an athlete or a rapper. We don't see anything else when they post up on TV. It's just a rapper or athlete.
Right.
But we come from scientists. We come from just engineers, all these type things. But we're not putting so much homage on that. We just looking at, okay, it's not glorified as it need to be.
Right.
We also got to start teaching our kids. You don't always got to go to college. You get a trade.
Right.
But I think that's been kind of looked down upon too. Even military. I come from a family of military. Just me and my little brother, only one that didn't go. I'm sorry, my older brother, we didn't go either. But my dad, my granddad, my sister, all Navy vets. My sister husband, he's a Marine.
Yeah.
So a former Marine. So it's like, but I seen how that changed their life.
Right.
Gave them structure, and then also gave them a head start on life when it comes to even with money.
Yeah.
They're blossoming with that. But we, as a culture, we're just so stuck on being the next Michael Jordan, the next Michael Vick, next Serena.
Well, if that's all we see, you know what I'm saying? It's all we see, that's all we know. That's like our inspiration to be something else or something different is limited. Right? And so that's why I'm always, man, trying to really preach it's the parents, right? It's like when you have kids, like kids can only do so much and find out so much on their own, but it takes parents to kind of introduce them and help them explore other things that's like what's in their bird's eye view, right? Take them to another city, take them to another state, take them to another country, right? Introduce them to other sports. And sometimes even through reading or documentaries and things like that can do that as well. and introduce him to things. And so that's why I got my son now. Like, in his mind, he gonna fly a spaceship.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's because I'm ingrained in that.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, you can be an astronaut. You can do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
You can go to space.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
right,
And, you know,
right.
and so that's what I'm teaching them because I know, like, hey, like, did nobody instill that in me? You know what I'm saying? And maybe my parents didn't think they could do it, or maybe they didn't feel like it was realistic in general, so therefore it didn't happen. But like I say, hey, you can do whatever you want to do, and we gotta start manifesting it now. And I think that's the biggest part because we can't depend on media.
Nah.
We can't depend on them. We can't depend on those outlets to show our kids, especially black kids, especially black boys, you know, their potential. You know, because it'd be too much of a threat, I think, to the greater society. But as parents, especially as black men, I think that's where we really come to play.
I will say you are starting to see some YouTube influencers kind of change the narrative. I might get some pushback on this, but I'm a fan of Charleston White.
Yeah.
Oh man, Charleston, even though he can be his verbiage.
I don't agree with everything he says.
Right.
Like, but that's no human being.
That's right.
Yeah, that's no
right.
human being. But yeah, I think he's
moving the needle on things that need to be talked about.
Yeah. And he does the work too. That's
I
think that's the biggest difference of like one talking about what he's talking about, but then it hits a little harder when he's actually in the community.
Right.
Like before he went viral and stuff.
Right.
He's actually he worked with Pistol, but also he worked with people may know Raheem Buford here.
Okay.
He does a lot of prison reform, working with like real huge here. He did 25 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, 20, 25, 26, something
So
like that.
You put me up on game.
Yeah.
I knew about the correlation with him and Pistol Gordon.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But they didn't work together on prison reform and things like that. So just knowing somebody to do the work that say, oh no, I was doing the work with Charleston too.
Right.
In some of this like prison reform and
He's
policy.
serious about that.
Yeah.
That's why I'm at with it. You know, at the barbershop, I had this discussion. My boy Bleak at Chop Nation, and I'm the outsider when it comes to Charleston and that. Man, they ain't trying to hear nothing about it. But if y'all really just sit there and listen, get outside the antics, just like how we got some of us black men we looked outside the antics when it came to Trump.
Yeah.
Do the same thing with Charleston, you really see the message that's coming through with that. But yeah, man. He's about his business. He be saying some crazy stuff. But stay tuned. I'm actually going to have a sit down with him soon too.
Okay, bet. Yeah, but I think like even with him, he says he got to say some wild things because that's what people listen to.
Correct.
Like if he was just on there talking about, the work he do, he said he was doing that and wasn't nobody listening.
Same thing with Kevin Samuels. He
Yeah,
was talking about men the whole first year, and then when he started talking about women,
so it's
to him and shit,
it's weird how our culture of like this United States, we just attracted to certain things, right? We attracted to the messiness, and then even though we might not like it, we're gonna tune in just so we can comment on it. Like, oh yeah, I remember when he said this or she said this, when like what I'm saying, people just done the work.
Right.
Put that same energy, you just doing the work.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You'll solve your own issues. Man, I wanna leave with you, man. What else you got going on? What you got cooking up, man? What's next?
Oh man. So again, man, my podcast about to launch here. I'm Rob the Savage. That's my name on Instagram. 2023 is gonna be the year for me, man, on some different projects. Getting the community involved. I had a great talk earlier with a good friend of mine, Carla Brown, about something her husband's involved with on a sportsplex that hopefully it manifests. The location's supposed to be in Metro Center. That's all I can give you on that right now. But I'm gonna try to get my boy Riley Howard involved with Elite 3. So I'm putting in the work this year, man. Some more award shows I'll be at this year, just on the networking tip. Try to get more of them to come to Nashville.
Okay.
Because we need it. There's black money here too.